By law, each machine must be marked with its spindle speed. The spindle speed must never exceed the speed marked on the abrasive wheel. Uneven or extreme work pressure will also cause a wheel to burst. Never use the side of a cutting off wheel for grinding, and always use the right wheel for the material. Don't bump the wheel against the workpiece or change direction during a cut. It's important to keep the wheel straight. Re-entering a cut can break the wheel, so try to avoid it. If it has to be done, take great care. Many wheel breakages occur because the workpiece is insecure. Always make sure that the work can't move. Pressing too hard or leaving the wheel in one position in the workpiece can overheat part of the wheel and create enough stress to break it. Where possible, move it backwards and forwards along the cut to prevent localized overheating. Don't force the cut. Let the wheel do the work. Jamming or trapping a wheel in a cut can destroy it and seriously injure the operator. Never cut like this. As the cut is made, the workpiece sags. Then it grips and shatters the wheel. Always make sure that the offcut falls away from the wheel. So wheels can burst because of overspeeding or uneven or extreme work pressure. Incorrect mounting or using damaged or faulty wheels can have the same result. To minimize the risks from wheel bursting, abrasive wheels for use on these portable machines are resin bonded and reinforced. This is shown on the label by the letters BF and is sometimes printed in full. The reinforcement is provided by glass fiber mats put into the wheel during manufacture. If the wheel breaks, the mats help to hold the pieces together. Portable abrasive wheel machines can be driven by petrol, electricity, or compressed air. All new machines should carry this mark. Machine design is improving, increasing efficiency and reducing vibration levels. This pneumatic machine is very powerful for its size and has an auto-balancing hub. The anti-vibration system on this petrol-driven machine reduces the transmission of vibration to the operator's hands. By law, all machines must be fitted with an on-off switch. Never override it. Petrol-driven machines are highly portable and powerful. They're designed for cutting off wheels only. The carbon monoxide gas in the exhaust fumes is dangerous, so only use petrol machines where there's good ventilation. Remember that a dust mask gives no protection against carbon monoxide. Fuel can also be a danger, so be careful. Store it properly and follow the manufacturer's advice about refueling. To reduce the risk from shock, use only 110-volt electric machines. If a 230-volt supply has to be used, then this should be protected by a residual current device. Always check that the machine is switched off before connecting power. Make sure that the cable is long enough to reach the work area comfortably and never suspend the machine by the cable. Compressed air machines offer limited portability but are very powerful. They are often suited to factories or foundries and can be particularly useful in situations such as tunneling or sewer work, where limited ventilation makes petrol machines dangerous and the wet conditions are electrically hazardous. The air supply must be clean and water-free. This unit filters and lubricates the air before it reaches the grinder. Both pressure and volume of air delivered to the tool must be right, so the hose and all fittings need to have the correct bore. With any grinding machine, too much or too little power can be dangerous. Too much, and the wheel will overspeed and burst. too little and the operator may press harder against the workpiece and break the wheel. Make sure that the machine is turned off before connection and never suspend it by the air hose. Cold air can contribute to HAVS, so particular attention needs to be paid to keeping hands warm. Some machines have insulating sleeves on the handles, but gloves should be worn as a matter of course. Even when the air supply has been turned off, the air hose to the machine may still be under pressure. After use or before disconnecting the hose, run the air out of the machine to reduce the pressure. Don't use any machine which is not in good mechanical condition. Regular and frequent maintenance is essential. As part of the maintenance schedule, the accuracy of the spindle speed should be measured using a tachometer. The machine under test is rated at 5,100 RPM maximum spindle speed, so it's operating just on the safe side of that. Although some cut concrete and others will cut steel, all abrasive wheels are fragile. Never drop, knock, roll or tread on an abrasive wheel. Dropping an abrasive wheel machine can seriously damage the mounted wheel or bend the spindle. If you drop a machine, disconnect the power, check the machine very carefully, and have a new wheel fitted. Before storing or using a wheel, check for any physical damage such as distortion or warping, and look for marks left by water, oil, petrol or diesel, because contact with these can weaken a wheel, making it dangerous to use. Any wheels like this or this should be destroyed. Follow the manufacturer's recommendations regarding the best method of storing any particular type of wheel. Often, the best and simplest method is to store them in their original packaging on a flat, rigid surface. Resin-bonded wheels for use on portable machines should be marked with an expiry date of 3 years from manufacture. The expiry date on this wheel is April 2003. Always keep abrasive wheels dry, avoid extreme temperatures, and never store them under other materials. Remove abrasive wheels after use and store the machines in cases or on racks. Abrasive wheels are known by type numbers. The 3 most commonly used on these machines are Type 41, flat cutting off wheels, Type 42, depressed center cutting off wheels, and Type 27, depressed center grinding wheels. These diagrams show the grinding face of each type. Only use the edges of cutting off wheels, never grind on the sides because they're not designed for it and can break. Some machines take flat or depressed center wheels, others take only one type. Make sure that the shape suits the work and the machine. Mounting the wrong wheel for the job or for the machine is dangerous. If you're cutting, use a flat or depressed center cutting off wheel. That's a Type 41 or a Type 42 wheel. If grinding, use only a Type 27 depressed center grinding wheel. Cutting off wheels should have this marking, meaning the wheel is not to be used for face grinding. Wheels with this symbol are not permitted for use on handheld machines. Make sure that the wheels you choose have this mark. It's the European standard for good quality wheels in this class. The marking system gives other important and useful information to help you choose the right wheel. as well as the type number, the dimensions must also be correct. This label shows the diameter of the wheel, the thickness of the wheel, and the diameter of the spindle hole. The right diameter should be marked on the wheel and on the machine. Never fit an oversize wheel. The spindle hole diameter also needs to be exactly right for the machine, so that the wheel is free to rotate on the spindle, but is not loose. To cut or grind the workpiece effectively, the wheel must also have the right composition. This marking shows the abrasive, the grain size, the grade, and the bond type. The abrasive used in the wheel is usually given by the letters A or C. A is for aluminium oxide, suitable for work on ferrous metals. C for silicon carbide, for stone, brickwork, concrete, plastics, or non-ferrous metals. Aluminium oxide wheels are usually marked metal. Silicon carbide wheels are usually marked stone. As a general rule, use silicon carbide or stone wheels to cut mixed materials, such as reinforced concrete or concrete-lined pipes. The grain size tells you if the wheel will produce a coarse or a finer finish. In practice, it's often 24, 30 or 36. A lower number indicates a coarse finish, but a quicker cut. The grade is shown by letters of the alphabet and tells you if the wheel is designed to cut hard or soft materials most efficiently. In practice, the letter shown will often be somewhere between P and T. Grade P is a softer grade for use on harder materials, and grade T is a harder grade for use on softer materials. Grade R is often suitable for general use. The bond is the base material of the wheel which binds the abrasive particles together safely. All flat and depressed center abrasive wheels for use on portable machines must be resin bonded and reinforced. This is usually shown by the letters BF, but it's sometimes printed in full. Some wheels are also marked with the type of material they're designed to be used on. Aluminium tends to clog or load standard wheels, so special wheels are produced for it. One of the most important bits of information on a wheel is the maximum safe operating speed. This is marked in revolutions per minute, RPM, and in meters per second. A red stripe across the label indicates 80 meters per second. That means that the periphery or edge of the wheel must not travel faster than 80 meters per second. Before you use a wheel, you must always check the spindle speed against the speed marked on the wheel. Remember that the spindle speed must never be faster than the speed marked on the wheel. It should always be possible to clearly identify a wheel. If it isn't, there's one simple rule you can rely on. If you can't identify a wheel, don't use it. Methods of mounting abrasive wheels vary from machine to machine, so follow the manufacturer's instructions. These basic guidelines can be used every time you mount a wheel. Always disconnect the power. Stop petrol engines. Switch off and unplug the electricity supply. Or disconnect the compressed air hose. Use the correct tools for the job. If you don't, you can easily damage the flanges. Clean the flanges and check them for damage. Check the abrasive wheel for damage. Check that the wheel is suitable for the job. Does it have the right composition? And is it the right type? Wheels marked like this are not suitable for handheld machines. If you're wet grinding, the wheel must not have this symbol. Check that the dimensions of the wheel suit the machine. It must have the correct diameter, and the spindle hole diameter needs to be exactly right. Check the spindle speed and the speed marked on the wheel. Remember, the spindle speed must never exceed the speed marked on the wheel. Never mount more than one wheel on a spindle. Although the method of mounting varies with the machine and abrasive wheel, there are some basic principles which can be demonstrated using these two types of machine. Taking the petrol-driven one. To change a wheel, use the locking pin to keep the spindle steady. Some machines have a locking button or need a spanner to do this. Then undo the nut and remove the wheel. The flanges need to be in good condition, clean and free of burrs, so they grip the wheel with a balanced, even pressure. Never use flanges of different sizes. They should be in matched pairs and be the right type for the machine. Dirty threads can be dangerous because they make it very difficult to tell how tightly you're securing the flanges. Over-tightening can distort the flanges and damage the wheel. Before mounting a wheel, check that the guard is secure and that deposits have not built up inside it. If they have, clean them out before they start to foul the wheel. On this and other machines, the back or drive flange is keyed to the spindle. This machine is designed for 300mm flat cutting-off wheels. The abrasive wheel should be free to rotate on the spindle. There shouldn't be any play, but it must not be forced onto the spindle. During use, the spindle may heat up and expand. This could crack the wheel if it's fitted too tightly. In this case, the outer flange is also keyed to the spindle. The assembly is secured with a locking nut. Make sure it's the right size and don't over-tighten it. This can distort the flanges and damage the wheel. It needs to be just tight enough to prevent slipping and to transfer the torque. Remove the locking pin and check the wheel for play or eccentricity. Rotate it by hand to make sure it turns smoothly. If it does wobble or revolve with a cam action, do not run the machine. This flange system is common on machines designed for wheels with a diameter of 230mm or less. The outer flange is reversible. Before mounting the wheel, clean the flanges and carry out all the checks as before. The back flange is keyed to the spindle. In this case, a depressed center cutting off wheel is being mounted. Again, make sure that the wheel is free to rotate, but not loose on the spindle. Using the locking button to keep the spindle steady, the outer flange is then screwed onto the spindle, securing the wheel in position. Remember not to over-tighten the flange. Release the locking button and check the wheel. These reversible flange sets are used in this position when mounting flat or depressed center cutting off wheels. If a thick depressed center grinding wheel is to be mounted, the outer flange is reversed. This ensures that the wheel is securely gripped and supported. Never use the outer flange in this position when a thin wheel is in use, because the flanges won't grip the wheel. Remember that with all the assemblies, the working rotation of the spindle tends to tighten locking nuts or flanges, so don't over-tighten them when mounting the wheel. Before starting work with an abrasive wheel machine, remember your personal protection and safety checks. Look around for any warning notices. Don't cut or grind if you see signs like these. Asbestos can kill. Don't cut or disturb it. It must be dealt with only by specially trained operatives using the right equipment. Don't just rely on signs. Think about where you're working and what you're working on. Are there any flammable materials, liquids or gases? For instance, don't cut oil drums or other fuel containers because these may explode even if they seem empty. And in sewers or drains, there may be methane gas. In some situations, for example in an oil refinery, you'll need an authorized hot work permit before carrying out any cutting or grinding. This will list particular precautions to be taken for that work. Always check the machine and the abrasive wheel before you start work. This applies to new or hired machines as well. Early warning signs can often be picked up by giving the equipment a good looking over, with the power disconnected. Flanges should be the correct set for the machine and wheel in use. They should be undamaged, clean and free of burrs. If the wheel is mounted, check the flanges are not loose. This flange is unacceptable. Apart from being rusty, it's been damaged by using a hammer and chisel to loosen it. Particularly dangerous because the flange is reversible. When it is reversed, these burrs will be in contact with the wheel, causing uneven pressure and the possibility of bursting. Replace damaged flanges and always use the correct tools. In this case, a peg spanner. If the machine has a drive belt, the tension needs to be correct to ensure full power transmission. Manual adjustment may be necessary, but on some machines it's automatic. Always check the spindle, which should be clean and undamaged, with the seal intact, not leaking grease. Check air hoses, electric leads and plugs for damage or wear. And check for play in the wheel. Movement could mean the flanges are loose, the machine has worn bearings, or the wrong wheel has been fitted. If at any time a machine is found to be in an unsafe condition, don't use it. Label it clearly to make sure no one else uses it, report it and put it in for repair. Destroy damaged or faulty wheels. You should be fit and alert when using an abrasive wheel machine. Always make sure you work from a stable position and in full control of the machine. Never work from a ladder, don't overreach, and avoid cutting above shoulder height. Good visibility and a secure footing are very important. Work on level ground if you can and clear the area as much as possible to reduce the danger of tripping. Avoid ice or snow. Check the position of the guard and adjust it if necessary. It must be between you and the wheel when the machine is in use, so that it directs sparks and swarf away and protects you if the wheel breaks. Don't connect or start a machine until you're ready to use it. The wheel must be clear of people, the ground and everything else. Make sure of your footing and start the machine while holding it firmly so the torque doesn't twist it out of your grip. Never drop start a petrol-driven machine or attempt to start any machine in a cut. New or remounted wheels should be run for at least 30 seconds at operating speed, with the operator and other people standing out of the line of the wheel. If there's any unusual noise or excessive vibration, stop the machine and have it checked. If at any time you feel there's something wrong, don't just carry on. It may be the last warning you get. When the machine is idling, the abrasive wheel should not revolve. If it does, stop the machine and have it adjusted. If you're using dust suppression, turn the water on just before taking the wheel to operating speed. Bring the wheel into contact with the workpiece gently. Don't crash into it. And always use the machine at full throttle. Get the direction right before starting the cut. because changing direction during a cut applies side pressure and will cause the wheel to break. Direct sparks and other particles away from others and from yourself. If necessary, stop the machine and adjust the position of the guard with the power disconnected. Whatever you're cutting or grinding must be safely secured, or it may move and cause the wheel to shatter. Remember that one of the main causes of wheel breakage is an insecure workpiece. Use constant pressure. Avoid bumping the wheel. Don't slow the motor or force the cut. Let the wheel dictate the pace. Where possible, move it backwards and forwards to avoid a build-up of heat in one place. Never let the abrasive wheel be trapped or pinched by the material it's cutting. This edging block is carefully supported so that the offcut falls away from the wheel. If you're wet cutting, turn the water off as soon as you've finished cutting. Don't leave it to run on a stationary wheel. When you stop a machine, allow the wheel to come to rest in its own time, not by applying pressure. When the wheel has stopped turning, put the machine down carefully, making sure that the wheel is clear of the ground, workbench, or any other surface. Starting or putting a machine down carelessly can cause serious damage. Remember that the wheel edge can travel at around 180 miles per hour. Materials being cut or ground must always be well secured unless they are extremely heavy. This can present problems with cutting smaller objects such as bricks. These are best tackled using a machine like this one, which has a built-in vise and guide table. Never put a portable machine in a vise and offer the work to it. Keep a safe footing in the working area. Have a place for cut work and a separate one for scrap. This keeps offcuts safely out of the way and reduces the danger of tripping. Abrasive wheels wear down during use. As the diameter is reduced, the speed at the cutting edge drops. Don't press harder to make up for this. Change the wheel. There's an additional problem with angle grinding. As the wheel wears down, the edge becomes wedge-shaped. If the grinding angle is too low, this wedge becomes very thin and will break up. Always use a depressed center grinding wheel at an angle of 30 to 40 degrees to the workpiece. This is just over 30 degrees. As soon as you've finished using an abrasive wheel machine, disconnect the power. While it's connected, it's a potential hazard. Check the condition of the abrasive wheel and check and clean the machine. When you transport it, make sure that the machine is properly supported and remember to remove the abrasive wheel. A wheel is easily damaged during transportation. The next time it's used, it may shatter.